continued patronage of this podcast. And thanks everyone on YouTube. We've done very well on the YouTube page, and your support has meant the world to me. I had a meeting with Remy Martin, our sponsor, and I got a gift bag of stuff. And so you folks who are subscribers to the YouTube page, I will let you know how you get in the bottle. Not everybody, but a couple of people are getting a bottle. Maybe some other treats, but I got like a jacket and a hoodie plus all sorts of incredible stuff from Remy Martin. So our relationship with them continues to grow, and we are thankful. And the reason that they still want to be an advertiser is because you continue to show up on this podcast, no matter what the content is, and we appreciate that. I am just now getting back from Soldier Field. One of my favorite things when I was a beat reporter is I felt like everyone got me during the week because they all lived close to Hallis Hall. You know, friends in Evanston, JD, I think, lived in Buffalo Grove. So when it was going to Hallis Hall every day, I was doing a 50-mile commute basically from Hyde Park to Lake Forest. But on game day, that's when I would get my revenge, because I could be home, especially after doing all of the media stuff. I could be home in 7 minutes. And that was always great. Today, though, I had quite an experience, and I'll go into more detail on this on the Morning Buzz. But it didn't dawn on me until I was walking into the gates. This was the first time that I've ever been to Soldier Field as a fan. And I'm using air quotes for those of you who can't see me on the YouTube channel. It never happened. I was talking with my friend Mai Martinez, who is the news anchor at WBBM and my work wife. She was like, "Hey, I got tickets. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do actually want to go." So we went and we had a great time. The seats were killer. I was in the 300 level, first row on the 45-yard line, on the north 45-yard line. And it was, you see everything. Now it's different watching a game, and when you're trying to, you're talking with people, you're having a beer, you're having a dog or whatever. That's very different from what I would do in the press box. It's a different environment. I'm looking forward to watching the game again later on tonight, the TV version, and then, of course, watching the All 22 when it is made available. But I think this was a real big deal for the Bears to get this thing right today. And I got to tell you, sitting there in the stands, you get a different perspective on things, and you could hear folks booing. You can hear folks getting uncomfortable with how the Bears offense was playing in the first half. And then in the second half, I think from probably, I would say the end of the second quarter on, you saw a much better Bears team. There's a couple things that I want to spend some time on. I thought that their use of DeAndre Swift was perfect. That's how you use that guy. You're not like slamming him up against defenses. You're finding ways to make it work with him. You're finding opportunities to give him the ball in space. Let a lot of that elusiveness that he has in his arsenal play out. And you saw a great performance from him. He was terrific. Like, if you were watching this game without knowing what had been going on over the first 3 weeks, you would walk away going, "Oh, he's like their best player on offense." DeAndre Swift, 16 carries, 93 yards, so you average almost 6 yards a carry. And of course, had that nice touchdown of 36. He also caught all 7 targets that were thrown his way for 72 yards. So you're talking about 170 yards of total offense from him. Caleb Williams, the best way that I can describe this particular game from Caleb Williams was mature. These stats don't look great, but they look good enough. He didn't turn the ball over. I am still a little bit scared as more and more people end up hurt on the offensive line. Tevin Jenkins left this game with a rib injury and didn't return. I'm concerned for his health overall. Because now it's 17. So he's averaging a little over 4 sacks a game. Sacked 3 times in this game. One of them was they got a good lick on Caleb. And you go, ooh. But he got up, threw a big touchdown to DJ Moore, passer rating of 106.6. Super mature game. One of those games where you're going to have to grind it out and you're going to have to come up with a big play. And the Bears did. They came up with big plays in this one. Whether we're talking about that 27-yard reception by DeAndre Swift or that 22-yard reception from Cole Kmet, the stuff that DeAndre Swift was doing, the hard-nosed runs that Roschon Johnson had. And let's give the Bears some credit. They're clearly missing a fullback in short yardage, and they said Doug Kramer's just sitting over there waiting for Coleman Shelton to get hurt. Doug, would you like to go hit somebody? Yes, I would very much like to go hit somebody. And there you have it. The makings of an NFL fullback. It just makes things easier in those situations. You can tell them where you're going to run. You bring in number 68. You tell him, hey, follow 68. He's going to take you to the ball. Good. But having a guy who's almost 300 pounds, who's got enough athleticism to get out there and move people, yeah. If you only need 1 yard, that should be what you're doing. So I love that we saw actual adjustment, understanding what you did wrong the week before, and then saying, well, what are some creative solutions to our problem? We don't have our fullback healthy. Well, what about using one of the guys that doesn't play but is in uniform to help out in that regard? That's creative coaching. If the Rams are healthy, I don't know if this game plays out this way, because there were times in this game where Matthew Stafford was clicking and he was making throws. And I swear, Atwell felt like he was open on crossers all afternoon long. But the Bears defense did what they needed to do. They got Stafford on the ground. They made plays on the ball. And they come out of this game with a win. I said it in my post-game video from Soldier Field, and I'll say it to you. If this offense scores 24 points like it did today, the Bears are going to be really hard to beat because their defense is scary solid. There were some plays where I was wondering if it was going to get away from them, but they did what they needed to do. Jaquan Brisker had one of those games that puts him on the radar to end up in the Pro Bowl. He's going to have to continue to play at that level, but this was one of those games. I'm watching his sack on when he gets Stafford on the ground, and I'm like, I could see it. Like they had set him up basically as a wide 9 defensive end. He was blitzing, and the Rams didn't see it. Stafford didn't see it, and he got home. That's a huge play. He also made an interception that was called back in this game. And as you're sitting there, you're like, wait, what are they? Oh, he didn't reestablish back in bounds. So he breaks up a pass. He ends up with an interception that seals the game. He comes on a blitz that puts the Rams in a bad spot. That's a hell of a game, along with 12 tackles for Jaquan Brisker. Then you look at Montez Sweat. One of the things that I can't wait to do when the All-22 is available is watch Montez Sweat. Jared Verse also, I'm very much looking forward to looking at him against the Bears offensive line because he seemed to be everywhere. And it's just a matter of time before that guy turns into a monster, if he's not already a monster. But Montez Sweat got Stafford on the ground. Montez Sweat broke up a pass. Montez Sweat forced a fumble. That's what you're paying this dude to do. I also have said that I want the Andrew Billings cam. I still want the Andrew Billings cam. And Javon Dexter early on did his job. There's another guy that I want to talk about that did their job. And it was amazing to witness this in person. Watching Tory Taylor punt. I didn't realize it had become a cult thing at Bears games. But damn it, it's fun. It's fun. The wind was crazy. It was, you could feel it. It was a beautiful day to go enjoy a game. Like straight up, the temperature was perfect. But the wind was kind of wild. And you're like, is it swirling? It's kind of swirling up here. And it felt like it was on the field. It had more of an impact than those of us who were sitting in the crowd. Tory Taylor hit bombs. And has the ball like turning over real nice too. You draft a punter, the punter has to be a weapon. And the punter was a weapon. Tory Taylor hit 5 punts in this game. His average was 55.5 yards. He had a long of 66, and 3 of those punts were inside the 20. Take a bow. I tell you, his punt that pinned the Rams back as the Rams were surging in the fourth quarter was the difference in the game. Flipping field position is something that coaches talk about all the time. They romanticize about it. This dude did it. And here's the thing, Evans, he also had a crazy long punt, and it was beautiful too. I think his was close to 70. But these two dudes were out here flipping the field. What I love about it is, and I don't know if this is a byproduct of what the Devin Heaven, we should call it Devin Heaven, the Devin Hester era, where Bears fans are so in tune to special teams because of Dave Tobe and Devin Hester. And before that, guys like Rashid Davis and Jerry Azuma. During that time, Danielle Manning, Johnny Knox, like the Bears had all of these returners, but even guys who were on the return teams like Brendan Iambadejo or Hunter Hillenmeyer or Israel Adonijay, those guys have a place in the hearts of Chicago Bears fans. And Tory Taylor is now in that conversation. He's a legend already. People look forward to him coming out onto the field. They're upset that the offense isn't doing what it needs to do. but they know that they might get an opportunity to see something crazy. And they did. They saw him kick the shit out of the ball. And it was like watching people's reactions, listening to it, like being there in the stands, like being in the press box is one thing. Being in the stands and hearing people go, oh, ooh, and them cheering the punter because they understand that field position is going to be so significant to this particular game. And if you compare a great punter with a great defense, man, that's problems. That is problems for the rest of the league. Problems. So it was just a cool thing to sit there and be a part of and experience. And it was fun. It was a fun thing for me. Like I still have the whole, I usually don't cheer like if I go to even a White Sox game back when I was a fan of them. And don't worry, there'll be a pod on them later on this week. But I don't really cheer. I try to keep some journalistic neutrality when it comes to the games. But it was cool for me to experience like game day as a Bears fan. And just kind of, I talked with so many Bears fans today. And it was great. Like whether it's people that were interested in what was going on with the new show, or someone said to me, why are you on the train? And I was like, what do you mean? Like I'm going to Soldier Field. Like, no, I thought like they helicopter you or something. I'm like, no, like I'm just a regular dude. I get on the train and I'll get off at 18th Street with everyone else. It's fine. Like and you couldn't really drive this morning either because the half marathon was going on. So Lakeshore Drive between 67th and 31st was closed. But it's literally 7 minutes from where I get on at 55th Street, 55th, 56th, 57th on the Metro and 18th Street. That's all. It's 8 minutes. So, yeah. And I got to walk in with Bears fans and I got to walk out with them chanting the Packers still suck, which is always weird. And the Packers did suck for most of their game against Minnesota. Then they rallied back, but they still lost. The Vikings are a problem, y'all. At some point, we'll spend some time deep diving into them. I get my guy Matthew Collar on the show because it's a whole new world with Sam Darnold. He's out here making plays. But all in all, it was a really wonderful experience. And I'm glad. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see that I am wearing a Beer Money shirt. For those of you who are not, I just told you I'm wearing a Beer Money shirt as I record this show, and that is with intention. Today is the last day that there will be broadcasting on NBC Sports Chicago. And so I just thought that I would represent. There's a big party. Layla texted me and she's like, are you going to the party? I'm like, no. Because she's not going because she's holding down the fort at Channel 5. And just so I can kind of clear this up for anyone who doesn't quite understand, NBC Sports Chicago and NBC 5 or NBC Chicago are different entities. Layla's main job is being the lead sports anchor for NBC 5. She's not going anywhere. Like she will be on Sports Sunday tonight, hosting with I think it'll be her and Ruthie and Dave Wanstead. They'll be breaking down the game. So Layla still has a job. It's still the same job that she had. When she pops over to NBC Sports Chicago, that's her helping out. Like her actual job is NBC 5. So you don't have to worry. You'll still be able to see Layla on TV, but NBC Sports Chicago will no longer exist. You can turn over there tomorrow if you want to. There won't be anything there. There's a full broadcast day of like classic stuff. Like as we speak, people are over there gathering, but that's it. Like that's the news station. And we talked a little bit about it. If you want more information on it, you can go back into the archives here. And I talked about it, about the new place, because I like that they're going to offer it on free TV on channel 62. And they're getting all their carriage stuff together. So you won't miss the Blackhawks or the Bulls games. And I know you won't miss the Sox because no one misses the Sox. You'll miss them in January and stuff, but by then you'll have all the stuff figured out. But Layla is still on TV. I'm not on TV anymore, at least for now. But that's okay. I need to concentrate on other things anyway. I need to concentrate on this new partnership that I'm building with Matt Spiegel, which is a lot of fun. And I need to concentrate on what's going on with House of L. It's weird, man. There were a couple opportunities that were thrown in front of me, and I couldn't do them because of what my contract language is with Odyssey. Like, shoot, I was not expecting to do like a media thing inside of this, but here we are. So part of the reason that Jay isn't back at the Score is because of his deal with the Ringer. He didn't want to give that up, nor should he give that up. He's got equity in that thing, and he's built a really great podcast. So I understand him saying no to the idea of giving that up. Plus, like it's a good job. I initially brought House of L to Odyssey, and at the time, the same person who's the reason why Jay isn't at the Score, when I brought up the concept 6 years ago of doing a podcast, this person passed on it. And so they were like, yeah, if you want to do it on your own, just go ahead. So House of L has been grandfathered into my deal. So I can do this because they passed on it. And there have been times where Odyssey has tried to like annex House of L, but they haven't. I get to do this and it's cool. And they've seen the numbers and the success of it. And I think had it been other people who were in charge of the decision back then, they would have decided that it was a good partnership, which is what I was offering with Odyssey. But I say all of that to say to you, when it comes to other podcasts, like in audio stuff, contractually, I can't host something else. I can do TV, so I can do like if the new place is like you want to do a bear show, I can do linear TV. I can do digital TV, like the rally. And for those of you who are on YouTube, is that picture over here. I can do that show, but I can't do any sort of like audio work for anyone else, which I understand. I get it. And I can jump on a pod. Like if Dominique Foxworth hits me up and is like, can you come on and talk about Caleb? I can do that. If the new Bears pod wants me on 1 week, I can do that. If Jason asked me to come be on his podcast, I can do that. But it can't be like a new podcast that is outside of the Odyssey family. You feel me? So like BetQL, I could do. Like I could host with Joe on BetQL because that's inside of the Odyssey family. But the other stuff I can't. So there were a couple opportunities and I was like, man, I really want to do it, but I couldn't. And I didn't feel like fighting anyone about it because I'm really trying to grow this and it's growing with your help, and I'm appreciative of that. So we're going to keep doing what we do, spending that time growing House of L and growing the new show, which I'm having a lot of fun doing. There is another television thing that's still got our fingers crossed that is hopefully going to be greenlit. And if not, then I can bring the concept to House of L. But as far as being on another audio platform, I've pretty much stretched the limits of that with this particular podcast. But I wanted to represent all of my peeps over at NBC Sports Chicago. I asked, I think it was John Shipman, who's my boss over there. I was like, hey, there's a Beer Money t-shirt. Just hang it. Can I take it? He's like, yeah, I don't care. So it's like a double X. Like I'm swimming in it. Like this is a huge t-shirt, but I like that it's a huge t-shirt, at least for this, so that people on YouTube can see how awesome it was. Shout out to the homie Christina Quinn over there. Like this was one of her babies. And check it. Like it's sweet. So I just wanted to say, you can go back and listen to my pod about the end of NBC Sports Chicago, but I had a blast there. I worked with really good people. We had a lot of fun. My guy JJ. I mean, the whole crew, man. I was treated extremely well there too. And I don't even mean by management, although management treated me really well. The crew, all of the producers, all of the directors, all of the PAs, all of the interns, like there wasn't anyone there that I was treated very well for a radio guy who was doing television. And everyone who ever worked there should be proud of what we accomplished. But if you're like, man, that's too bad about Layla, don't. She's on TV still. She's on Channel 5 tonight and every night, pretty much. Monday through Friday, 5, 6, and 10. That's where you can find her. And Wednesday, she's going to be back on The Score. I know she had like a wedding and all sorts of other stuff. But Wednesday, she's going to be back with Marshall and Dan, and they're going to do great stuff. Her and Marshall go way back. So it's not going to be weird. Like she's going to be a part of that show, and she's going to continue to be awesome. But thank you. Sincerely, thank you for all the support that you have shown this particular pod. It means the absolute world to me. And it means the world to Remy Martin. Our peeps. Get used to Remy Martin. They gave me a recipe for a Remy margarita that I will share with you on the Morning Buzz. So make sure that you check that out for all the peeps that are on YouTube.